So this, and I just want to kind of start. Hopefully I can get this thing to focus a little bit. I've already replaced one of the last stage filtering cap, and we're going to go and I'm going to pan up, and I want to show you, here are factory solder joints, which, you know, this amp was made back in 1970 something or other, and they're still pretty darn good. Scrolling up, this is what was done after the fact by whoever the hell was in here. They've destroyed the trace, it looks like, and this is multiple spots across this PC board. And just like the schmutz, the excessive lead length, the lack, I mean, this is fucking terrible. I'm kind of sad. So I've been going through and removing the damaged components, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to do continuity tests across the entire board to make sure that those traces are still valid, and if not, I'll have to, like with this trace right here, if this trace is bad, I'll have to do like a point-to-point connection where I'll put the capacitor through the board and then solder it, literally solder it to that connection, which in its truest form is point-to-point amplifier construction. But you can just see, like, this whole trace right here, this is a main part of the input stage, and it was just gobbed in there with bullshit. Shitty solder work, and so I'm undoing a lot of damage that somebody did, an inexperienced tech, or somebody who just didn't give a fuck, or a guitar player that thought they could, and I mean, I'm a guitar player who thinks they can get into amps and fix them and stuff, but you know, a few years of working and being told that my work is shitty, going back and fixing it before I start taking people's money on amp repairs, and I still have many things to learn, but I just wanted to kind of show, like, you know, the problems here. Like, this is bad. Gentlemen, anybody getting into amps and working on them, if you know how to discharge them and be safe, great. But you want to try to make sure that your work mimics at least the factory work, which, you know, the boutique guys and the amp gurus all shit on anyway. So if you can at least get it up to the level of coming out of the factory to go to a music store and be sold to a gigging musician or a playing musician, what the fuck is that? We're going to check that too. Anyway, so that's my rant. I'm not entirely enraged, but this poor thing, and then like this, what the hell's going on here? Ugh. Well, I guess I'll just have to reflow everything and just check everything, and that's okay. I'd much rather make this thing 100% bulletproof for my client and make sure that this is one of the best sounding 800s I can. So anyway, that's me ranting and raving. So now that I figured out how to video edit in my computer, I'm gonna video a little bit of this. So this is now with all the shit ruined components and garbage parts removed from the amp. I've just done a little bit of an alcohol scrub and an alcohol bath to clean off flux and dirt and schmutz and scum. And now the move is going to be, I'm going to go back through, I'm going to check all the factory solder joints for cracks, for anything that could cause issue, and I'm going to clean some shit off. So, just want to make sure that there's no, this is just a toothbrush and isopropyl alcohol. That's all this is. I already kind of did this, but I'm just, under the camera, I'm seeing some more schmutz. Oh, look at that guy right there. Where's that guy right there? Just want to clean it. Make sure that excessive flux is kind of gone. I just don't want this thing to go out and have any issues. So there we go. Look at that. And there's some factory solder joints that are kind of shitty as well. Like this is factory. This guy right here, that's factory, and that's kind of shitty. You can see a gap in the PC board. So I'm going to clean off old solder. I'm going to reflow every joint on this board. Like that's a factory joint, and that's kind of cruddy and falling apart. But anyway. So this is one of those damaged traces I was talking about. Right down, yeah. You can see the trace itself has been burned away from the board and is peeling up. So I'm going to do just a straight point-to-point connection on that. All the other ones test good, and everything's mounted down the line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down the line, solder tap all of these, go through, check all the other joints, and then finish the recap and get a couple other things taken care of. And here is the board repopulated with all the good stuff, vintage correct values and whatnot. So I'm using what I call the Vichy brown pills. They're 1 watt metal film resistors, Nichikan, bias caps, Panasonic coupling caps in the phase inverter, replaced the orange drops that were all fucked up. Nothing wrong with orange drops, love them, use them in my own amps. It was missing a ceramic cap right here, which is one of the voltage dividers. It's a high pass cap, lets the high frequencies through. So without that in there, it darkens up the amp, also changes the gain a little bit. Got more Vichys happening, brown pills, and a Vichy Bumblebee. This is actually a 1/2 watt, but it's a little bit overbuilt, so the heat dissipation is good, reduces noise. And a replacement cap there for the orange drop that was ruined. I didn't want to put orange drops in there because they are huge and they could strain or stress the PC board, which has already seen enough damage from the hack solder work that was in there before. Corrected a bunch of broken, loose, gappy solder joints down the entire length of the PC board. And I did have to do, let me move this a little bit here, I did have to do an unpleasant point-to-point right here on this cathode, which it had to happen. So anyway, still a few more steps to go before I'm willing to fire it back up. Correcting some, again, just overheated wire from whoever was in here before. I've got new wires run for the master volume and all that kind of thing. I still got to replace these 2 caps, clean all the potentiometers, clean the input jacks, double check all those solder connections. This is removed now, so I'm going to actually pull these out and maybe plug them. And we're just going to keep going down the line. I don't know what the heck's going on here, but I'm going to double check the output jacks because those look kind of screwed up. Anyway. Alright, brand new F&T caps in place, cleaned up wires. The old ones were pretty burned at the source. Again, another shot of all the new components, the Vichy brown pills. I call them brown pills. I think they look like little brown pills. Nichikan for the bias, Panasonics for any of the WEMAs that I had to replace, these little plastic box caps. I had more of the Vichy brown pills and the Vichy Bumblebees. Straightened out a bunch of bullshit that was miswired on the pots. I'm gonna leave this for now. I might replace it later. Gonna clean that up. See, this is that overheated, fucked up wiring I was talking about. So I'm gonna correct that. Got some new leads in place that undo the effects loop BS that was going on. So after all that, we should be ready to fire this up and see how she runs. And here is the JCM800 all fixed up and repaired. So what I had to do, I actually had to get a bunch of my Tube Amp Nerd Guru buddies to help me because I had a super low output issue that I couldn't resolve with the scope or voltages. So I had to get some suggestions on how to fix this booger up. So again, went through and replaced all the hacked out components with new updated high quality parts. Right there, right there. This is where my big problem was with the volume. The traces here and here had been damaged by the prior tech that was in here. They'd burned the actual traces, like I kind of said I was worried was going on before. So I had to take the leads and bend them over and under and wrap them around, kind of point-to-point construction on both of these points. So all of these caps were replaced, which I didn't originally want to do, but they needed it, had to be. Replaced, all that good stuff. Brand new F&Ts. There's a brand new F&T underneath the board here. Had to run some clean wire, some cleaner wire. Things had been overcooked and overheated by the prior tech. Had to correct, replace this resistor and capacitor. Had to replace that, was missing, and then this cap, you can see I've got wound under this plate resistor, pulled up, and then soldered into place. The reason why this isn't going through the board is I would actually have to drill out the board to fit that through and down, and the traces are already so damaged and fragile. So it's a mechanical bond by taking the cap and sliding it under and then bending that connection up, making sure I got a nice solid connection, and then soldering both those sides with solder. There was a high-pitched oscillation when you turned the gain control past like 3. The whole amp would start to oscillate and squeal, which these amps are not. The JCM800s, the layouts, the wiring, and the lead dress is pretty darn shitty. They're barely stable to begin with, the JCM800s. And so any little thing can make them squeal and go bonkers. But corrected that, removed that hideous effects loop split. It wasn't even a split, it was sending the signal off from the master volume pot, non-buffered, non-boosted or anything like that, and then returning it back to the phase inverter. It's the original way they used to do an effects loop, but it is so terrible because you can't get the proper signal going into the effects. It just destroys the tone of the amp. So that's gone. The amp is back to 100% stock, and it sounds pretty damn cool. So that's next.